It looks like we are a go. All right, I apologize. I did not even catch it just because my Mevo screen went too quickly. I had put everything in for the Cats Creations page, and for some reason it automatically defaulted back to my private group page. So I was 10 minutes into explaining everything on that group. So I apologize. Thank you guys for catching up and watching me today. I'm going to teach you how to do decoupage pumpkins with paper napkins. You can probably use a wide variety of other things. I've seen some people suggest that you use paper bags, that like holiday bags or gift bags that you can get at a wide variety of different stores. The napkins that I'm using tonight, I purchased back in early 2019 from a company called Vintage Buffalo Girl. She's on Etsy. When I went to her shop to see if she was still currently in business, her shop is temporarily on a pause until September to allow her to get caught up. But if you just go to Etsy and type in paper napkins, you can find a multitude of different people that are, hi everybody again, sorry about that. You can find a wide variety of people that are selling just a multitude of different designs. And a lot of times, like the one that you're seeing here, the little pumpkin with the wheelbarrow and the different, he has virtually everything, leaves and apples and pumpkins and sunflowers. You can find a lot of really complex designs, but you're not just purchasing one. So you're purchasing them in bundles of like 6 or in bundles of 12. And a lot of them will give you deals like, you know, purchase up to $35 and you get free shipping. Well, it's great because they're napkins. I mean, they're not going to be damaged. But let me show you a couple of the designs and what you're dealing with when you're talking paper napkins. So a lot of times when you open your paper napkins, this is a little cocktail napkin. Sometimes you get the design on all 4 sides. This one, you just get the main design, but it's kind of over the actual size of the napkin. And then if you want, you could cut out the additional pumpkins and add them around the rest of your design. So this is the one we're going to be doing tonight. And the reason why is because when you pick something that doesn't have a complex design, like the edges of the building, the streets, the end of the cobblestones, part of the sky, it makes for a better design when you're doing it just on a plain pumpkin. You're still going to kind of have a little bit of a yellowed effect, but you can paint them with like watercolors, do a watercolor wash. You can pick up stains at like Hobby Lobby that allow you to kind of make the items look a little older than what they currently are. Now, when I purchased this design, this is the one that I was telling you comes, let me open it. This one is a napkin that features the design on all 4 sides. So this is really nice because you can either, you know, do 4 different pumpkins, or you can extend the design kind of like how it is here and do a wrap all the way around your pumpkin and just have the design constantly continue, like just match it up the way that they have here and just continue to put another panel and another panel until you go all the way around. That's an option you have. So when you're looking at napkins, we generally don't see what else is included with the napkin. Looking at the blue one that I showed you as well, it shows this is your full napkin, which is kind of nice in the fact that if you were to say like put this on a decoupage pumpkin, what you can do is just kind of like rough, like, and I'll show you how to do this. You'll kind of brush the edges of this, and then with the leaves and the corn and the pumpkin, you could cut them out individually and decoupage them around, so that way you're not having this break like you see here if you just cut the design out. Also, if you're looking at the design of your napkin, you have to like look at what types of things are going to be cut off. How could you eliminate that? this shows you what the full napkin looked like. So here's the edge of my napkin. Going back, like I said, I did this last year. Going back, I would probably take all the leaves and the edges and just leave him. And then if I wanted to add additional things, then I could add those or build those into the bottom. So any questions you guys have about paper napkins, you can get them in I think I picked these ones up at Target last year. So they're spider webs and trick or treat. The one that I shared on Instagram that said potions and poisons, that was Target last year. Just put on a black pumpkin. Same thing here. You could just take this whole design, brush edge the whole outside of the napkin, and then slap this on a black pumpkin, and it's going to look amazing because it's already black. So when I'm trying to do a decoupage design, I'm looking for, on something like this, you're going to have to find a way to blend the edges. So you could come in with like a watercolor or wash and kind of take this and fade this out so it's not such a, such a harsh line. Or like I said, you can take the next, the silhouette on the napkin and just keep going around. Okay, so these pumpkins, I got these last year. These came from Michael's. They were originally 20 bucks. These are the carve-able ones, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to decoupage whatever design you want to put on your pumpkin. And then later in the week, I'm going to teach you how to take that and turn that into a floral arrangement for fall or whatever season you want. And then if you're doing craft fairs, you can take these, you can place these on the table, and then you can sell them, and then you don't have to worry about shipping them. The customer can pick them up and simply take them, and then they're good. So these make nice gifts for the holidays. So I think that's pretty much it. So the pumpkins came from Michael's, like I said. I think Target will start to carry them more towards the end of August. You'll start to see a lot of the stores carry them. Hobby Lobby carries them. I believe they're out now, and all of their fall is 40% off. I don't know what their price is. The one that I did here that kind of has the lines in it, this came from Lowe's because it was a little bit more vintage, a little bit more worn. But you can take that and do a wash on it, and then add your napkin or add your decoupage. It's entirely up to you. As a designer, this is where you get to be creative. There's a lot better people who can paint and, make this look like somebody hand painted this pumpkin from scratch. But that's just not my area of forte, and I'm okay with that. So I'm going to teach you how to take paper napkin, decoupage it on your pumpkin, and then if you want, I'll show you a bunch of other designs and different ideas that you can do. Like, these are all the ones that I started purchasing last year, like this, and you guys know that I'm a big fan of vintage. You can take these and put these on wood, pieces of wood, and make coasters and decoupage a set of them for, each holiday. There's some fun ones in here. See, here's that poisons and potions from Target. It has it on the back, but then on the front, it's kind of got a metallic tone to it. And then there's some fun ones in here, which I can't do because they're trademarked. I can show you them. Like, there's Jack Skellington ones. So if you're doing this for you, you can find just about everything. So this one, I think, is on all 4 panels, so you can really go crazy with the different faces of Jack. And then there is, let me find them, it's right here. You have like the Charlie Brown that says Be Giving. So this would be perfect on a white pumpkin. As long as we just cut the border off, everything else would look amazing. And then you don't always have to stay with fall and Christmas or anything like that. My daughter's really big into mermaids and the sea. So you could definitely take this and make it a beach lovers thing, and then add a floral display that is more reminiscent to like a beach. So you can literally find everything. to suit your crafting needs on Etsy. It's entirely up to you guys. So, so it's just me today. Steve is visiting his mom in Lake Havasu, so he will not be here for our live, which is okay. I can master this by myself as long as I leave the Mevo like way away, because last time it just kind of went off on its own when I bumped it. So things you will need to make this: obviously a carve-able pumpkin, you will need a paintbrush, you will need matte Mod Podge, which I got mine at Hobby Lobby. This was $8.99. With their 40% off coupon, it's like $5. And I barely used any of this to make a ton of them last year. So a little goes a very long way. You will need scissors. I think I have another pair of scissors here. Scissors. You will need a cup of water. You will need a plate. You can use disposable. For this live, I'm doing it on a seat, like a plate that you can see, because otherwise if I put this on a paper plate, you wouldn't be able to see how much Mod Podge that I put out, so that you would know, okay, I don't have to pour like half the container out for this particular project. You're going to use very little. The only reason we're using a blow dryer is so that I can speed dry through the steps. Otherwise, I think it wants you to wait, they say like 20 to 30 minutes between coats. And then another thing that you need to know is this is water soluble, because I've had it happen where we've tried to apply a napkin, and as we're applying the Mod Podge, whatever you want to call it, the napkin tore. So rather than try to save it, we just basically took the pumpkin over to the sink, washed everything off, dried the pumpkin off, and then started all over again. So don't be afraid if your napkin tears. That's known to happen. And I think that's it. I think I covered all of the steps. So you guys are ready to get going? Okay, so we're gonna take the fun little bounty of the gourds, because that pretty much summarizes everything. You could use it for Halloween, you could use it for fall. I'm not going to worry about the burgundy outline on this napkin. All I'm going to do, let me open it, is I'm going to lightly trim the outside of this pattern. So I'm just going to take my scissors, and I'm going to, number one, get the portion of the napkin I need to work with. Our cutting scissors don't want to work on napkins. So we'll go ahead and cut this part out. And we might want to add pumpkins to it afterwards. I'm not going to worry about the burgundy. I'm just going to lightly get rid of the one right here. And because our pumpkin is already that kind of a cream color, I'm not going to worry so much about making this a perfect blend. Okay, going. Can you guys see everything okay? If you use plastic wrap to smooth it, you won't tear or get bubbles. That's a great tip too. But with this one, because we're taking paper and applying paper to, we're hoping it's a smooth surface. A lot of times, like when I got into a bigger design, you're going to get a wrinkle in it. So what I need to do is be able to show you how to get the wrinkles out. So I think I'm pretty much good with this. I take all the funky corners I kind of cut in here. Just like so. We'll toss this. Let me take a couple of the pumpkins out real quick, just so we can add those. I've never added them to the design, so I'm not going to be super careful. I definitely need to get the red out though, because the red is not going to be on my design. But I'm going to show you, you don't have to trim everything off. So there's one. Let's go ahead and do the other one, because if we want to add these, we can definitely add them. If not, it doesn't matter. Okay. I'm just trying to get as much of the paper off as possible. So let's just do those two. Okay, now what you're gonna wanna do is your napkins are either gonna come 3-ply or 2-ply. And that tells you how many layers are added to the back of your napkin. So we need to make sure that number one, we are down to just working with, you know, just the single layer. So, and most of the time, if you're ordering them online, you're never going to get the full package that says this is a 2-ply or 3-ply napkin. So if it's 3-ply, you're going to need to remove the other 2 layers. If it's 2-ply, you're just going to have the backing. And the easiest way to separate that, you know, it sounds gross, but you're going to wet your fingers. And what you're going to do is you're going to work on a corner. I had it going. And you're going to carefully separate your layer because we don't want the whole thing. Just like that. And you can generally tell if it's a 2-ply or 3-ply. If this was a 3-ply, you would kind of have a little white opaque still left on the design. When you get down to about the single layer, you can start to see the colors kind of come through. But now we need to prep this before we can put it on the actual pumpkin. And we need to get rid of all this burgundy here. So the easy way to do this is there's 2 things. You can go to Hobby Lobby and purchase something called a water pin. Basically, it's a pin that holds water. Or you can just take a cup of water with a paintbrush, and what you're going to do is you're going to go along the edge of your paper napkin like this. And you're just going to wet it, and then once it's wet, you're going to basically take it with your fingernail, and you're going to tear, and this is where you get that feathered edge. You're going to pull off all of the parts you don't want on your pumpkin. And with a feathered edge, it looks nicer when you put it on the pumpkin, because then you just don't have these straight, hard edges. So I am getting rid of all my burgundy. So I'm going to take this a little bit more and go along here. And I just put it right along the edge of the napkin. And the water will actually go, you know, it filters into the napkin, it absorbs. So I'm trying to do this where you can see it a little bit more. If you don't have nails, you can get like the edge of a butter knife and just work through the details of what you don't want to see. And then we'll finish this edge right here. I like the feathered edge look better. It just looks nicer when you go to apply it to the pumpkin, because then there's no real hard lines anywhere. And then I'm going to do the same up and around here. And I'm going to go right into my stem. Go ahead and pull all that out. Let's do a little bit more. I've got to get rid of that orange. There's just a touch. Yay! Okay. There's just a little bit down here in my grapes. So let's go ahead and touch that. It's like the instant you take the water and touch it to your napkin, it just absorbs. And to get rid of the really harsh edges, like right here along this sunflower, I recommend doing the same thing. Just get rid of the straight edge and just barely take the edge off. This way it'll look like it was painted or brushed on. instead of like, oh, we just cut that out of a napkin. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Go along the edge, and I'm just going to remove all that stuff I don't want. And as you can see, the minute it starts to get wet, I don't necessarily have to really worry about, oh, this doesn't really match. It's not as white as my pumpkin is. So we'll just finish up right here. And I don't hold it too long, otherwise it would soak my whole napkin. So we're almost done with the prep work. And believe it or not, this is the hardest part. Separating your layers and then trimming your napkin for what you want. So any questions do you guys have? Yes, hang on just a second, Marie. A lot of times what ends up happening is when I go to zoom, let me show you guys. Sometimes I bump the camera. So this is going to be your design. You'll have to be careful because it's still super thin, paper thin. And then we're going to put it, when you're looking at your pumpkin, you're going to look for the flattest side. But you still want to be able to see the ribs through, like when you put your design on, you want to be able to see that it's applied to a pumpkin, that it wasn't like some flat space that, you know, you finished that up or sanded it down. So now what you're going to need is, we're all done with the water and the paintbrush and the scissors. These guys I'll keep over here. Is now we need the Mod Podge. I like to call it Mod Podge. It just sounds nicer. Make sure you shake it. And then always clean around the outside edge, because if you don't, if you let it sit for a year, it kind of hardens and glues itself shut. So all you're going to need is honestly about that much to finish the entire project. And so the first thing you're going to do, basically it's like liquid Elmer's glue is what it smells like. So we're going to take it, and as you can see, that this is pretty much the thinnest part. This is just going to go right on our design. So knowing this, I know that I need to get my Mod Podge from here to basically here. So this part to this part. So you start by taking your paintbrush. Do not use a sponge brush. And here's the reason why no sponge brush. A sponge brush is porous, so it has a tendency of taking in more product than you need. And then when you go to apply it, it puts air bubbles in it. And sometimes it'll put like a funky texture. We don't want to introduce anything else, you know, aside from what flaws there are on the pumpkin, to the product. So air bubbles, number one, are hard as heck to try to get out. So by doing it with a paintbrush, because it's water soluble, you're just going to rinse it out and then let your paintbrush dry. So we're going to start with a thin layer, and I think we said right about here. I'm going to start at the top, and you just want to do a smooth layer. Don't go heavy. If you go heavy, you could rip your napkin. And not only that, it takes it so much longer to dry in the cracked areas, like the ribs, but you definitely want to make sure that you get it into the rib areas, because that's what's going to make it look amazing. And I always take it longer than I need to, because I'm like feathering the edge as I'm taking this product and bringing it all the way down. And just really making sure there's a very thin layer, about as far as my design's going to need to go. Okay, making sure you guys can see that. Okay, now you pick up your design, and you're going to take your design and you're going to lay it where you want it to go, just like so. And then what you're going to do is you're going to pick an area. So you're going to start at one area and you're going to lightly take your finger and just smooth the design down to the bottom. So we're starting from like this rib and we're moving the design out to the edge. Just like this. So once we get that up, if you need to, you can readjust your design. I'm going to pull this back up and just relay that. I'm not worried so much about big, huge wrinkles because most of the time you can generally get those out. Air bubbles, making sure that it's all smooth. This one's actually going on very nice. So if you can get it to go on nice the very first time, then there's not an awful lot of work that you're going to have to do with it later. So we're just bringing this all the way down. Lightly. Because you don't want to like push super hard because you'll rip your napkin. Here's that. I had just a touch. I really didn't want to go into this one rib because there's a flaw in the pumpkin. It looks like a little piece of speckle or something is in there. So that would just be something that I would probably see. Most people probably wouldn't. But as you can see, there's some wrinkles in the pumpkin, but we're going to work on those. So what do you guys think so far? It looks pretty good, doesn't it? And like I said, you can keep going. You could add additional pumpkins. You could layer leaves on, but I'm okay with this the way it is. So once we have this on and all of our edges have been tacked down, and it's going to stay pretty tacky until you seal it. So when you are ultimately finished and you're done with the design, you don't want to have anything happen to it. You can take a clear lacquer. You need to make sure that it's a water-based lacquer and it'll say on it, does not yellow, especially if you're doing it on a white pumpkin. Anyway, you don't want to have like, as you're spraying your lacquer, you worked really hard on your whole design and now it turns your pumpkin yellow. So just make sure that you're getting a water-based lacquer. And I think you can get them. I picked mine up at Lowe's. Hobby Lobby carries them. Though it's probably a little pricier at Hobby Lobby. But there we go. So we're not done. Now what we have to do is the 3-step process. So if you want something to support this while you're doing it, what I recommend is you just take your bowl and then you have a place that will support your work so it's kind of like hands off. So it doesn't roll around and it's not rolling all over the place. So great tip for that. Just put it in a bowl. And then now what you're going to do is you're going to work half the design at a time. So you're going to dip it into your Mod Podge and you're going to start about halfway up and then you're going to pull down. So we're going to do it just like this. And then as we get to the outside, we want to feather that away. And then once we get up here, we're going to go up and pull this design up. Don't overly apply this, like you don't need to power apply your product. It can just be a very light coat, but don't go heavy-handed either because then it takes way longer to dry. So just watch and make sure that you've got product in between the ribs of your pumpkin because that's really where that makes your design look finished. And then you're going to take a blow dryer because nobody has time to wait 30 minutes between coats, especially on a live. So you're going to turn it on hot, on low. Do not use a heat gun. If you use a heat gun, it's going to melt your pumpkin or whatever else it would do to a plastic or whatever this is made out of. So just a standard blow dryer on high, on low. And then if you hold it in your hand, you're going to take it, I don't know, an inch and a half, and you're going to hold it away from the pumpkin. And all you're going to do is dry it in sections so that it goes from that opaque color to clear again. And that's how you know that it's dry enough for you to handle. So you can see that it's kind of turning clear again. How did you get that shiny yellow looking pumpkin? It came that way, Joyce. Lowe's came out with like, what do you call it? I don't know, like the ribs of the pumpkin, it looked like somebody painted or they touched up to make it look old. So that was just the color it was, which based on the background of the napkin, it was almost the identical color, so that's just really nice. So you want to do it until all the white spots on your napkin are done, just like that. And then what you're going to do is right in between here, so you've got like the ball of your thumb and the bottom part of your palm, and then God gave us great tools in our fingers. So we're basically going to take this and you are going to lightly take those wrinkled areas and you are going to push them down and push them out. So this is where it takes the most time. But if you do it good, the results are like mind-blowing amazing. So you're also going to take your finger and you're going to work your napkin into that rib area. And I've had it happen before where I was working on a deeper rib. I think these ones, the Lowe's pumpkins, don't have that much of a flat space. So while I was trying to get my napkin to go into the rib, there was an air bubble. And no matter how many times I tried to work the air bubble out, it just wasn't going. Take a safety pin or a push pin and put it right into that air bubble, and then go ahead and work the air bubble, work the area out around the air bubble. So that's a great tip. So we're just working all the wrinkles out of that section. And one thing you don't want to do is push too hard and pull, because then you'll tear your napkin as well. So we're just working the areas that we added our Mod Podge to. Hi Sandy, thank you guys for joining me tonight. I know it's a little late for those of you that are on the Central or East Coast. But I'm bored. I had nothing to do. And I was like, my daughter keeps telling me she wants to decorate her house for fall and for Halloween, and she's like, and the stores aren't carrying, like Hobby Lobby's not carrying Halloween, and she's like, so I don't have anything. And I'm like, well, we can make stuff. So somebody had asked if we would do a pumpkin topiary. So this is a great way of taking something, if you want to embellish the front of your pumpkins before you stack them and put them on your porch. This is a great way to do that, so that you just don't have a plain pumpkin. Otherwise, you can paint them. Okay, now we're going to go back in and do this side. Same thing, just barely trying to get the hairs on my paintbrush to all cooperate. So from the bottom, about halfway and pull. So you can see the wrinkles that are there. So that's like basically telling you, this is how much work you're going to have to do. And we'll feather those out. You don't want it on too thick. And then we're going to go back up. So from the top, up. And then just feather that product out. Okay. And once again with the bloater. So right now it's opaque. And you're going to do this a grand total of 3 times. So you have 3 coats on your pumpkin. At that point, let it dry for 24 hours so it cures all the way, like it dries. And then at that point, you can spray it with your clear lacquer, or you can just keep on going and, you know, work on, like, you could do fall on one side and do Halloween on the other. It's entirely up to you. You can have a 2-sided, 3-sided pumpkin. Hey, Caitlin. Okay, same thing. We're starting in the middle on the bottom and working the wrinkles in our napkins out. Can we use any kind of napkins or just certain ones? Carol, as far as I know, like I've just done it with actual paper napkins, but I've had people tell me that you could use gift bags. It just might be a little bit harder to get, like you saw how thin it was when we laid it on here. I mean, it was like wafer thin, like rice paper thin. You might have a longer drying period between them, and it might be tougher to get the wrinkles out. Let's see, do you think you could use brown wax or water down the, yes, you could. Carolyn, so she asked, do you think we could use brown wax or water down brown paint and lightly paint the crevices of the pumpkin so it looks like the yellowish pumpkins you have? Absolutely. You could do that before, you could do it after. I've seen where some people take this and they'll watercolor wash these colors until it fades. And then it looks more like, oh, I just hand painted that pumpkin. But not really. They just decoupaged it. I know Hobby Lobby sells they have a product that's like a metal or an antiqued finish. You can use that. It's like a wash. Peggy, the napkins I got from a company on Etsy called Vintage Buffalo Girl. But in all honesty, you can find them anywhere. I think Hobby Lobby this year is carrying a pattern that looks very similar to this. And they're all 40% off. All the way until all their fall stuff is gone. So no coupon needed. So now you guys are going to look differently at paper napkins and think, what can I make with that? You could put these on, what do you call it, like the Dollar Tree tins. You can start with those if you want to decoupage some flowers on them and then go ahead and decorate the tins. You could do it for Christmas. You could do like the red trucks or pine trees, stuff like that. So again, I'm making sure that the ribs are all working. And don't be afraid to turn your pumpkin around, just so you can push on your wrinkles and get that product down to the pumpkin level. So far it's looking good, huh? Okay, I'm going to take my brush. This is just going to be, like I said, we're going to do another 2 coats. So this is coat number 2. So we're just adding this back on. We'll continue to keep working on our wrinkles and adding the ribs into our pumpkin. And by the time you get to coat 2, we don't have to like really worry about, you know, halfway up or halfway down. I always start there anyway. So there's our opaque. So we just want to dry it till it's clear. Joyce, I haven't tried it with fabric. That would be interesting. Jenna, you said that you did this on charger plates. That would be pretty, because nobody really eats on the charger plates anyway. What did you use to cut the tops off? Georgia asked. You can use, I just used a steak knife. Probably not the smartest thing in the world, but they cut really super easy. That's why they make them so that you could technically carve these pumpkins and then keep them all year. Same thing. Continue just to work that down. By the second coat, it's not as sticky as it was the first time. This would look super cute on your table, like a holiday table. We have it. It sits as our, like the centerpiece on our dining room table for the holidays. Didn't want to knock everything over. And let me show you what it looks like so far. Let me see. We can do this. Trying to get it to where there's not as much glare. So that's what it looks like up close. Okay, we'll go ahead and add the second coat on the other side. You can see I'm doing it really light, and I only have one more coat really to add to this, and you can look at how much of the product is still left on the plate. Probably poured out a little too much. Okay, back to the blow dryer. Denise, thanks for joining. These are the fake carve-able pumpkins that you can get at Hobby Lobby, Dollar Tree, not Dollar Tree, they just do styrofoam ones. Joann's and Michael's. Lowe's started carrying carve-able pumpkins last year. You're so welcome, Denise. And then if you don't have a blow dryer, you would technically have to wait that 20 to 30 minutes in between. I think you'd have to probably come check it at about, I don't know, 17 minutes in, so that you could still have a product that is pliable for you to work, work through to push all your wrinkles out. And you're not going to be 100% on the wrinkles, because believe it or not, like if you look at my pumpkin, it's got character flaws, it's got bumps and cuts in it, so you can only do so much. But you can at least get as much of it out as you possibly can. And that's why I would recommend, if you're going to start one, do a small design first. Don't get overly aggressive and pick some dinner size napkin and try to go like the whole pumpkin, because it's harder to get that one to work. So start small, and then when you feel comfortable, then, by all means go bigger. Yep, Patricia, I am going to teach you guys how to do that this week. So we're going to take this one and we're going to make another fall arrangement. So I'm going to probably snap a photo of this when I go to Hobby Lobby and try to look for some things, some colors that would make this one pop. Because like this one is mostly oranges, a little bit of yellows and browns. I want to pop a little bit of purple in it. with some different florals so that everything does not look so monochromatic. So, yes, by all means, I will teach you how to do that. So don't be afraid to push it, flip it around. It starts to get a really pretty sheen by the second coat. So when we come in here with our last coat, then it creates a really nice smooth surface. Okay, final coat. So we're going from the middle down. It's just good to get into the habit, because if you don't, and you're like, oh, I totally forgot because I was just, you know, knocking them out. I think when I did my first one, I was so happy. By the time I finished the first one, I'm like, oh, we need to do another one, and another one, and another one. Start small. You're so welcome, Peggy. Thanks for joining me tonight. I appreciate you guys being here. Do you guys have any questions so far that I can answer for you while I'm just finishing the last final coat? Just giving you guys some tips of like how I messed up my first time. Going too thick with my deco, or with the Mod Podge. Buying shiny Mod Podge because you want to get the matte finish. Even if you decide, you know, afterwards you're gonna, you know, throw down clear lacquer on it anyway, start with the matte finish. It makes your wrinkles easier to see. Hi Ronnie, thanks for joining. We just got just a little bit right in here. A lot of times the product will sit in the areas that it needs you to put some attention and some focus to. Or sometimes you just went heavy-handed with the product right there. So I think between the heat and the pressure, and then just working that product all the way through, I mean, you're going to eliminate 80% of the wrinkles. You're still going to have a few there. But like all things, the more you practice, the nicer you're going to, you know, get it to turn out. And some of you are so talented in your painting, you could finish the other half of this design. I'm just not that talented in the painting area. Steve is, but. Joyce, I am just doing the Mod Podge, I'm going to keep calling it ModPodge even though I know there's no GE on the end of it. I just do it on the initial design, and then once it cures for 24 hours, I take clear lacquer, because right now this is still water soluble, because even if this stuff sits and it sits on my plate and gets hard, I can still come in here and get that off of my plate. So the last thing you want to do is, if God forbid these things, maybe they hold water, maybe they don't, to have a leak spring, and then your design is all gone. So I seal them with, you can either get a matte lacquer if you kind of want to keep it with the flat finish, or like if you like the super shiny one like this, you could just do a, what do you call it? High gloss shiny lacquer. Okay, last coat, last little section. I know it's Mod Mode. It's either Mod. It's not. Is it Mod? Mod Podge. Who came up with that name anyway? I guess it's part of Decoupage. Weird name. Around here, we just call it ModPodge. But I know that's not the correct term. Okay. Last part. And then we're done. And then I'll show you the other napkins. Because once you find out how easy it is, you're gonna like, oh my word. Before I went here, I like searched on Etsy, paper napkins. Oh, the napkins that they have now. So cute. You could do this on a wood box. You could do this on a serving tray. So it is Mod, M-O-D, like M-A-U-D-E. Thank you, Kathy. Yes, Gail. I don't know if it's Krylon. It's just a water-based, clear, high gloss. It actually says on the can, I'll turn this off, non-yellowing. It says will not yellow product. So I make sure mine actually says that. Because, you know, you never know. Sometimes I don't trust all the people who work in the departments at the home improvement places that they know whether or not this product would yellow something. But it's relevant to have, especially if you're doing like chalk couture and you're sealing your signs. You need to have a clear finish that will not yellow your product. Because that's so disheartening. You have a gorgeous sign with a white background, and then the minute you hit it with that spray, it's yellow. It almost looks like this color. But if you're okay with that, I know that's not what happened with that one. It's actually, that's the color. I had another one, but it was super tall, and I was like, I don't want to do a tall one. So, it's all pretty. It's all finished. So, let me, look how much. I mean, literally, start small. You can always add more. For some reason, I always add more than I need. What I'm going to be doing is taking, like the top of this looks like a faded, like a fake paint. Hobby Lobby sells an antique metal finish, like a bronze. And I want to try to do that on top of here. And then maybe distress it. I don't know. I kind of like the way it is right now with the clean white finish. So what do you guys think? Oh, Kathy, glad you got your ribbon. Very nice. Okay. Well, here is the finished product. Make sure you guys can see it. I'm trying to get it to where we don't have the glare of the overhead kitchen lights on it. So we will be taking this, we will be cutting the top off, and we will be turning this into a fall floral arrangement. Susan, you did quite a few of those last year. Yeah, they're so much fun to do and so much fun to make. I mean, I think kids could even do that. So let me show you guys a couple of the other napkins that you can find out there. This one is super cute. I was so tempted to do this tonight, but I needed a black pumpkin, and I'm all out of black. But they have the whole peanuts, the great pumpkin. So this is a design that is available on 4. And look, you could literally just create an endless loop and go all the way around to black pumpkin. That would be super cute. We did the vintage black cat. showed you guys the skull. So I need to be doing coasters for our kids. Here's the ones that came out of Target last year. We had the blue that I'm gonna play with and see if I can get it to come out the way I want it to. I just didn't feel like playing with it tonight for a demo. Here's pumpkins. So these are, it's like a gourd. So I think this one, yeah, look. I mean, you can really go crazy and just keep extending your design over and over. So a lot of times when you're buying your paper napkins online, they'll show you the full pattern if you were to open it and lay it out. Here's the little pumpkin guy with the scarecrow, and he just continues. He's on all four. So that's something that you can play with. And then, let's see what else. The one that we're doing tonight. So this is what we took. We took our napkin and basically applied it to the pumpkin. And then there is the Edgar Allan Poe Vintage Crow. So these are super cute. You could put them on napkins. You could make, you know, I think I'm gonna do one where it's a pumpkin topiary. And I think what I'm gonna do is probably gonna do the potions and poisons and potions. I'm probably going to do the raven, and then wherever the skull one was, this one, or maybe the black cat, something like that. So when we get ready to do the pumpkin topiary, we're gonna have, like, I might do them like this way. These will be on black. The crow will be on a more vintage yellowed topiary, and then we'll go ahead and add our florals and designs to the bottom and the top in the middle. So, all right, everyone. Well, I appreciate you being with me today. If you guys are interested in joining the Design Academy, we meet every Sunday and Monday evening. And then the replays are always available. So even if people are catching it late or something comes up and they can't be there, you have access to the replays for as long as you're a member. I don't take them down. I don't pull them back. They're in the group forever. So if you're interested in joining, you can go to my website, which is KatsCreationsNMore.com, and scroll all the way to the bottom. There's a link to sign up for the payment of $17 a month. It also gives you access to all the business classes. So if you're thinking about doing this as a business, I walk you through everything about what you need before you even think about getting a Facebook page or an Etsy shop going. We walk you through all the steps, plus Facebook, Etsy, Pinterest, Instagram, different apps that you can download to your phone for free that just allow you to be more mobile so you're not tied to a computer. So if you're interested, come join us. We'd love to have you. Other than that, thanks for joining me, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye, everyone.